Okay, I am so excited, you guys. This is episode 2 of our review of Good Omens season 1. I think what I love the most is that there's been such a positive reaction to the two of us. I've been having so much fun doing this.
So I thought, why not?
Yeah, right. Well, what's kind of funny is that we filmed episode 1, and obviously you can see there's kind of been a set change. And then you'll see next week, because we filmed episode 3 like 2 weeks ago and then got distracted because I was really excited for episode 3. So it's going to change again and then it's going to go right back. But yeah, it's a whole big thing. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. Glad to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't believe we just said that at the same time. So first things first, I do want to talk about the fact that I didn't talk about it in the last video because obviously we had filmed that like 3 weeks in advance. But the SAG strike is officially over.
Yay.
The actors did get, as far as I can tell, they got everything they wanted. So
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yes.
Well done. Very well needed. They got
Yes.
a bunch of, most importantly, the protections against AI, because that was kind of one of the biggest things that they were fighting for, I think. And they're getting better streaming pay, which I think is a great thing. So that's can only be good news. Very, very excited. I also want to talk about the fact that I was thinking about this last night when I wasn't fucking sleeping, was the fact that I recently got you into another show that is also about demons. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, so it's, for those of you who know, it's called Hell of a Boss. It's on YouTube. It's totally, totally amazing. Little adult animated show. If you've never seen it, highly recommend. But I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, if you guys want to see it, I think we should do a review of that too. And I don't know if we should wait until we're done with this or do like concurrently. So we'll just review like one episode of Good Omens and one episode of Hell of a Boss. I'm going to do 2 videos a week anyway. So fuck it. Might as well.
Might as well.
But let me know what you guys think. If you want to see that, we will absolutely do that because we've been having so much fun.
Yes.
I like sharing my obsessions with you. And the fact that we both really enjoy it, I think makes it fun.
Even
so
better.
Yeah. So I think that'd be fun. If you guys want to see us do a review of Hell of a Boss, let us know. We will do it. Like, you only have to say it once and I will be on board. So this is episode 2. It is entitled The Book. We were just watching a tiny bit of it before we started filming, just to get caught up, because I always have my notes, but you don't have any notes.
I told you. I said before, I don't read, I don't write.
You don't take notes. Yeah,
I don't take
exactly,
notes.
Exactly. It's all on me, which is fine. I'm like totally fine with that. It works for us, and we still banter, so it's totally cool.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Starting off, okay. So it starts off. We see a gorgeous shot of the London skyline.
Yes.
We get our little, like, what would you call that? Like a marker to say that it's London Soho and it's the present day.
Yes, yeah.
I don't remember if we said this in the last video, but you have said in the past that you really appreciate that.
I do. I absolutely do.
Love the London skyline view. It's so gorgeous.
So gorgeous. We gotta go there someday.
Yeah, we gotta visit. Well, I don't know if I've talked about this in a video yet, but I do want to make a video at some
probably
point.
Hasn't told me either.
Well, I have told you. I do want to do a video at some point once my channel is big enough where we go to the UK and visit, like, kind of like do our own version of the Good Omens walking tour, like the Sex and the City walking tour.
Yes.
But we have to have enough subscribers to get me so we can go to the Ritz, because if we're not going there, then there's no point in doing it.
Oh,
and that place is extremely expensive.
That's
so like
true.
y'all need to make that possible for me. Okay, thanks. So of course we see that it's Thursday, so we've skipped ahead a couple of days. It's 2 days to the end of the world,
2
I believe.
days. Yep.
And then of course we see Gabriel and Sandalphon walking into the bookshop. I think what's funny about this scene is this is one of the few scenes where there's actually people in the bookshop.
I know. Every time I see it, I still go, wait, there's people in there.
I know, right?
That's never happened
How did
before.
you get in here?
Yeah.
Who let you in?
It always says, sorry, we're closed.
Yeah, exactly. So it is kind of funny to see like actual people in the bookshop. And I guess it's probably just for this scene and just for the awkwardness of the scene.
Oh, yeah.
Well, these two are...
Holy mackerel.
Not quite, but yes. Well, what I love is... So you have Gabriel and Sandalphon. I hate Sandalphon. I hate Gabriel, but I hate Sandalphon almost more. I'm kind of glad he's not in the second season. Sorry about
Spoiler alert.
to that actor. I'm sure he's a
it has
nice
nothing
person,
to do with the
but I
actor.
just
It's
don't
how,
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they have like a funny moment where they're trying to, figure out a reason for them to be there. Obviously, there's people around.
They're trying to blend in.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who's going to announce, humans, you
Yeah,
know.
we're just two ordinary humans out to buy some pornography.
Pornography.
I think that's
Loud
so.
and-
Yeah, I think
Well,
it's so.
Go ahead.
No, I just think it's so funny and ridiculous.
Gabriel didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
So
Sandal fun. Yeah.
Sandal fun.
Fawn. Well, I don't know. It's
He's not fun.
PHON. Fawn.
Okay, fawn. Okay.
Sandal fawn.
Goes
That sounds weird to say.
pornography.
Yeah.
Like he knows something about it, I
Yeah,
guess.
right.
I don't know.
I don't think he does. That's what makes it funny.
But why would you pick pornography?
I think it was just supposed to be funny, and they wanted something that would take them to the back room. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
I do have to wonder where he pulled that out of.
That's what
because
I'm
he
saying.
does look around like pornography, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like that you
okay.
said that though.
That
actually.
number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just all of it was like very like
My hair's getting in my eye.
skeevy. Well, yeah, that'll happen.
Skeevy.
Well, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely
He's very
right.
like. Oh, I love that my note was like, Sandal fun is so awkward. Please stop talking. Because it is. It's like, please stop talking. Please stop saying
And he's one of those that
pornography.
has what, the gold leaf on his teeth.
Yeah,
and I'm
the
like,
gold too.
dude,
Yeah.
what are you?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just, again, it's smarmy. That's what it is.
Smarmy.
It's very-
I like that.
It's very smarmy. It just makes you like
cringe.
Yeah, I love that the place that Aziraphale notices him from when they ask, Gabriel asks, oh, you know Sandalfon, right? And Aziraphale goes, Sodom and Gomorrah. You were doing lots of smiting. Hard to forget. I love that that's where he remembers him from. When you just saw him in heaven like one episode ago, buddy. Like maybe 4 days ago? Like how is that where you last remember him from? Like, okay, Sodom and Gomorrah. But it does speak to, like, how queer he is. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Because, as I've said in another video, Sodom and Gomorrah is notoriously kind of associated with homosexuality, sodomy. You know, we're not going to go down that road again. But, you know, it's interesting that that's the thing he remembers him from.
Yeah.
You know? Then Sandalfon comments that it smells like evil, which I assume is supposed to be Crowley. But Aziraphale just goes...
Was Crowley in them?
Yeah, he had been in the bookshop.
Oh.
Yeah, he's always in the bookshop, though.
That's true. That's true.
He wasn't at the time, but I'm
that
sure
was a
that
good
smell
save from
lingers.
Aziraphale.
Yeah, I love how he's like, oh, that'll be the Jeffrey Archer books, I believe. Who, if I'm not mistaken, he's kind of like Dan Brown. I don't know enough about him, but I just think it's such a funny comment.
Oh, it's such a great comment.
Books would have an evil smell.
But he knows that they don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, exactly.
So
and
they're
that's
like, oh.
Yeah, they're like, okay, sure, why not? I just think it's so fucking funny. And of course, Gabriel explains that everything is coming with the 4 horsemen. They're being summoned.
Yes.
And then, of course, we get another cringe Sandalfon line, which is the you can't have war without war. It's so dumb.
So dumb. And then Gabriel's like, that's a good one.
Well,
you can't have war without war.
You know what it is? It feels like that kind of, and I know it's meant to, it feels like that, like, it's that bullshit corporate speak that people who are like middle management or upper middle management do, where they say stupid shit that means absolutely nothing.
Yes.
But they say it like it's the most brilliant thing in the world, and you're just like, I have a headache now. What do you want?
Yeah,
like just speak English. Yeah, but it's just like that corporate like bullshit speak that means absolutely nothing, but that everyone just does and thinks they're so brilliant for.
Yeah.
And of course, Gabriel would think Sandalfon was brilliant for it, even though it's like fucking stupid. Like
stupidest thing. That's the whole cringing aspect of a middle manager.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know. They think they're so above you, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
sure.
I'm smarter than you, though, jackass. Like, that's.
You keep on hoping.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No, but that's what Aziraphale would think. He's smarter than Sandalfon.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
So next up, we get to see a very rare peek at Crowley's flat. You're kind of obsessed with it.
Oh my God, it's that door.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that too.
It's like made out of cement or rock.
Yeah,
and he just
pushes it.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. It's like I think it's like a penthouse or something like that. Because obviously his flat is in Mayfair, which is supposed to be a very expensive part of London. As far as I know, I think canonically it's not supposed to be that far from the bookshop, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think his flat is very interesting. It's sparse to say the least, but I don't know, it's interesting. I love his throne. I want that throne.
Didn't one of the guys say something? Nice chair?
Yes, so I was just getting to that too, is that he's watching the news, it gets interrupted by Haster and Ligger. I think Ligger is the one who comments that he has a nice chair, which I think is like perfectly fitting and hilarious, so it makes perfect sense. Of course, you know, in this scene we learn that Crowley didn't really mean to fall, that he doesn't really like being a demon.
No.
I think what's interesting is, I've said this before, but like in the differences between the book and the show, I feel like in the book, like obviously they say, you know, he didn't so much fall as saunter vaguely downwards, but I feel like he has a lot more self-loathing in the show than he does the book. I think in the book he's kind of just resigned to it. He doesn't want Armageddon, obviously.
No.
But there isn't that same self-loathing that I think he experiences, at least in season 1.
Yeah.
It seems to tamper off in season 2,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
But definitely in season 1, there's a lot of self-loathing, and it's kind of depressing, actually. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's also like, ooh, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because you feel for him. You love him.
Yeah. But I mean, everything that's happening too, I mean, that's going to make people have that depressing kind of feeling.
Well,
you know,
no one else knows except him and Aziraphale.
Exactly.
And, like, the angels, but the
and
humans
they have
don't know.
yeah. But it's almost like, you know, when people have the whole world
Yeah. Literally, the weight of the world on their shoulders. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that push and pull type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to not upset hell by, you know, like he's like, yay, great job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And secretly, you know, again, I'm going to say how he's telling Aziraphale, you know, we're not like either one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
We're our own.
Yeah.
And it's going to be expressed. And it's the truth.
Yeah.
Because it's saying that, in my opinion, no one's better than the other.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I
No,
guess.
you're right. No, you're
Okay.
right. So next, of course, we cut to the International Express man, who is getting the first of the 4 horsemen, which of course is war. This is a whatever scene. It's important, obviously, to the story. These characters are kind of important to the story. I think they obviously come up in, you know, kind of the Bible and Revelations and all of that, and they're in the book. But I don't know. I don't care about them.
I mean, you said it funny about, of course.
I think it's very fitting that an American actress is playing war. I think that makes perfect sense that an American would be the epitome of war. She seems like, I don't remember if I've seen. Did I make a note of anything else
I've seen her in other things because she looks familiar to me. But
she was in Big Love.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about that.
I looked it up. So she was in another show that we used to love that was called Big Love. It was an HBO show. I remember vaguely who she was. Was she one of the ones who was like a twin or something like that?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been so
like early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
They lived on the compound.
Okay,
yeah.
that's
so it was like
right.
the early 2000s. So I was like, she looks familiar.
I mean, they have her go there, like,
would you stop?
Saunter.
Yeah, saunter.
So not only is she an American actress,
Yeah.
she's a woman.
Yeah.
And then she's like, really trying to make her all sexy. And I'm like,
yeah, it's very flirty.
Okay, this is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It just, to me, felt weird in the...
No, but you know what's funny is I think there is something to be said about the idea of like war as this kind of seductive thing to certain people, because it's like, it's this thing that's existed since the beginning of time.
Okay.
And I think for a certain type of person, there is like a suggestive sexual idea to war, because it's like, you know, wars have been fought over women in the past. Wars have been fought for religion.
Okay.
Wars have been fought. You know, there's all these things. I mean, like the whole Trojan War was supposed to be about Helen of Troy. So there's like kind of all these things about war. And I think it makes perfect sense, actually. It's uncomfortable. It's a little,
Maybe
you know,
it's
again, it's cringy.
Yeah.
It's cringy, but cringy. Yeah, that's the word du jour this episode. But, you know, it's one of those things. And again, it's kind of one of those things that like Newton Anathema, where it's like, I don't really care that much about their love story. No offense.
Yeah.
I love Anathema as a character, but like I don't really care about their love story. I don't really care about Shadwell and Tracy's love story. I like them as characters. Well, less Shadwell, but that's not the point. But I don't like really care about their love story as much as I care about like Crowley and Aziraphale. But obviously, like that's more of a season 2 thing, and this was all in the book, so Nina wanted to stay true. I will say the one thing I did like about that whole scene, again, this is one of those instances where I feel like there's a lot of like God's exposition where she's just kind of repeating things that someone else already said like 5 minutes ago, so it feels kind of unnecessary. But I will say I do love the line, "She's been killing time and sometimes people." It's so stupid, but it's so funny. So there's like little God moments that I enjoy in the show. But for the most part, I do kind of agree with people who are like, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think you lose anything if she's not there, but like, I get it. And I think season 2 is a good indication of that, of like how you don't really lose anything when she's not there.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing that we'll be discussing when we get to that season. For now, though, God, I need a new case or something because this looks insane. We also get to see, of course, Agnes Nutter's explosion in the 1600s. I love this scene. I love how they did that. Fun fact, I think I've told you this before, the actress who plays Agnes Nutter in the show also played her in the original radio play, because before it was a show, I think about 5 years before.
No,
2014.
you never told me that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so in 2014,
awesome.
Radio 4, I believe, don't quote me on that, did a radio play of the show. So they had they had all these different people playing the characters. And she happened to play Agnes Nutter, and so they brought her in to do her in the show. And so I am going to do a review of that after we do the show. I guess we'll do it together. I guess. No, you wouldn't know the answer to this, but I'm asking the commenters out there, comment down below. Am I totally misremembering something, that there's also a musical of Good Omens that exists? Because I need to find this, if so. I don't know what it would entail. I don't even like musicals all that much.
No.
But I kind of need to see it.
Okay.
Because I need to know what is his damage. I believe online. Well, because here's the thing. There's a lot of things that almost happened, and there's a lot of things that obviously didn't happen. Like, obviously we know there's the 1992 script. I think there's only bits and pieces that have been surfaced online. I want to do some kind of reaction, but if there's only like snippets, I don't know how much we can do with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I've heard somewhere that there is a musical, and I'd be very, very interested to see what that entails, because that just sounds like bonkers, off the wall.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, the whole...
Sorry, go ahead. I couldn't resist.
What do they call Percival? Wait, not Percival. Pulsifer. What do they call him again?
Thou shalt not commit adultery, Pulsifer.
Okay, did he really do that? Or is it because he...
No, that was his name. So there's this...
He came up with that...
No. So there's this idea, I don't think it's actually true, but there were some people in ye olden time, in my day.
Of course. He couldn't have come up with it because that was thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yeah, well, that's his birth name. Well, so that's the thing. There were some people in like the 1600s who were named like weird shit like that.
Oh, that's his given name?
Yeah, that's the joke.
Oh, yeah. I thought he committed adultery.
No, that's his
and she was obviously saying
that's his given name, yeah.
Because they kept saying, well, I knew it was
adultery Pulsifer. Well, maybe he did, but that was his given name.
Yeah,
that's
because
the joke.
She even kept calling him adultery Pulsifer.
Yeah. Well, because that's a fucking mouthful of a name.
And he's like so mad because he's like, that's not my name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing is, so back in those days, there were some people, I don't know how many, there were a few people whose given names were like,
that?
It was the, Christian thing to do. That's why everyone in, what is that, Crucible is called Goody everything. Goody Proctor. That's just what people named people back then. Agnes Nutter's daughter, Virtue Device, looks like someone from Downton Abbey. She looks like one of the maids. As far as I can tell, she was not in it. I did look that up because I was curious, but she looks like one for some reason. I don't know. All of this stuff is like minor background things, but I kind of like it. I think it's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we go next to a young anathema in Malibu with her mother. We get to see some of the early predictions.
Yeah.
I do love the apple one. I think that's very funny. And then, of course, we see poor baby Newt and his shitty computer skills that causes the camera to run into the window, which I think is the best visual gag I have ever seen in a show in my life. There's just something so silly and funny and kind of campy about it. Just the camera running into the window. And then, of course, he causes a blackout, which is super funny. And then we get Newt getting a job. What's interesting that I didn't connect for the longest time is that the job he's working for is the same group of people that we later see at St. Barrel's doing their paintball thing. That's the same group of people.
Oh my goodness, I didn't see that.
Yeah. It's because you
don't you love that?
Yeah,
when you catch it.
Yeah, it took me a long time, and I was like, oh hey, those are those same people.
Hey. Now then that makes more sense.
Exactly. I do love that it's kind of like, even though I've never seen the show and I never will see the show, I do get that it's like an homage to The Office. The way they filmed it, kind of like reality show style. Just that scene.
Yeah.
Again, I've never watched it. I have no desire. I never will. But I think it is kind of funny that they did that way for that show. Because that was originally in the UK, so it was a very big show in the UK. So.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So, of course, we know Newt gets fired from that job. It's a kind of a sad little scene.
Well, you know what the thing is that, first of all, and again, it was a quick scene, but I mean, who's going to have him there on his first day doing all that stuff?
Well, he didn't do anything. He just pressed one button and it shut everything down in the whole company. That's what makes it funny. He's just that bad at computers, is that he shut down everything in the entire company, which is really silly and funny. But, that's...
maybe it's more to that my generation where you're afraid to touch a computer.
Yeah, well, you certainly think you could do that. That's what makes it funny, is nobody could. Like, you'd really have to try.
Hey, that's the way we were taught.
Well, in those days, I mean, you could brick a computer.
Back in your day.
Back in my day. Yeah, you could brick a computer doing shit like
that.
Brick it? But yes.
Oh,
make it into
trying
a
to
brick.
Say break.
No.
Make it into a brick?
Well, okay, so...
Oh, God. No, I don't need...
No. You've started this, so you listen.
Started your... What the fuck was that?
Fuck you. No, so... What they call it when you have like a cell phone, if you like do back in the day when you used to jailbreak iPhones.
Oh, okay.
If you didn't do it right and you fucked it up, they called it bricking it, because basically you just now have a metal brick that you can't do anything with.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So they call it bricking it. There's probably other reasons that. So then, of course, we see Anathema coming to the UK. Newt meets Sergeant God, it's still coming.
Sergeant Shadwell?
That's the one. In front of Buckingham Palace, and he's got his little sign about witches, which I think is kind of funny. His little protest sign. It's very, I guess that's probably a real thing. It's very silly, very funny.
Yes.
Again, it's all kind of Let's get to the good stuff, god damn it. No. So then we cut back to Crowley in his flat. In his flat, where he is yelling at his plants. I love that, so here's the thing, right? So it's funny, but it's also depressing, because in the book, it kind of makes it very clear that the reason he yells at his plants is because that's kind of the only kind of communication that he gets. That, when Hell talks to him, they yell at him, so he's kind of passing on the abuse.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that breaks my heart. I do love that in the book it is implied that he doesn't really kill the plant. We see Newt meeting Madame Tracy for the first time. We learn she is a woman of many jobs. I feel like she is very Mary Magdalene coded.
Yeah.
Kind of the vibe you get from her. I love when Aziraphale calls Crowley, and I love the idea that Crowley apparently screens his calls and has an answering machine, but Aziraphale has never heard the answering machine because he never knows.
Maybe that's why it threw me that you said it was 2019. Who has a fucking answer machine in 2019?
Well, God does say it's vintage. So then, of course, we get to the two speeding through London towards the convent, or the old former convent. That's now and then, they're speeding through London. I love the idea that Crowley has had the Bentley for at least 90 years, and presumably Aziraphale has been in it more than once during that 90 years, but he's still so terrified of the way he drives. I just find that so funny. It's like, wouldn't you think he'd get used to it at some point?
You still don't get used to the way I drive.
We get to have the backstory of each of the kids that make up the them. I made a note of this because I love that Pepper's full name is Pippin Galadriel Moonchild. That's the most hippie ass fucking name.
Well, when they talk about her parents.
Well, yeah, but I kind of
they?
wish you saw more of her mother. I just think that's so funny. It's such an extra name too. Like, girl, I'd go by Pepper too. I'd be like, I'm not making.
I love everything about her character.
Yeah, she is a really fun.
Let me
character.
tell you, the kids did an amazing job.
Yes,
every
they did.
friggin' one of them
Mm-hmm.
were talented. Were funny.
Yes.
You know, they showed themselves to be afraid and not afraid.
They make you like them.
They really do.
They're enjoyable.
What I also liked, her being the only female.
God, we're
so
it
was
one
girl, 4 boys.
Yes.
Or 3 boys, excuse me.
Yeah.
It was so
She's
cute
adding
because,
characters.
Yeah, I am.
You counting dog?
Adam was clearly their, like, quote-unquote leader.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she kept those boys in line.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, you know what I love is in the book they describe that how they all became friends was something to do with a fight in kindergarten in which apparently Pepper bit Adam's foot, which I think is so fucking funny.
Because you could totally picture it.
Well, but especially because he's the Antichrist, and it's like, you're still going to be friends with that girl. She's lucky she did not, like...
Oh, I know.
So, of course, we see them running into Anathema. They talk to her. They play their little Spanish Inquisition game, which she is horrified by, which I think is funny. I'm like, that just seems like a kid thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I will say, and I talked about this in my review of the book, is like you see a lot of them just doing kid shit, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in the book, it was like, it just kept going. You're like, okay, let's wrap it up, kids. Let's wrap it up. Mommy's got to go to work. I'd never make a good parent, let me just tell you.
I love you. I love you.
You're fired. I'm just kidding.
If I'm not here next week, you know
what? So, of course, then we get back to Crowley and Aziraphale driving to the convent.
Yes.
They're talking about how Adam came to, go to the wrong family, basically.
Yes.
I love Crowley's line where he, because Aziraphale's being, like, very holier than thou. He's being very, like, well... a know-it-all kind of, which I adore him, but there's like those few moments where you're like, okay, girl, you're being a little much. We need to calm that down. But I love that Crowley's like, for my money, it was just an ordinary cock-up. Cock-up is just such a fun word that we don't use enough for my money. I love that in the scene where Anathema is talking to Adam, she's asking about the beast, and so she's asking about him to him, but neither of them know. I just think that's so funny. I don't know why. It's like that kind of comedy of errors of like, you're asking him
the way they did it
about,
was perfect. Yeah.
It's so funny and silly. I love that in the scene, we see Adam say that he has to tell them what to do next. And it almost looks for a second as if the other kids have frozen in time until he speaks. Did you notice that? Or was that just me? Where it's like they're kind of stopped and... when he's talking to Anathema, then he goes, hold on a second, I have to tell them what to do next. And then they start moving again. There's like just
I
a
didn't
brief
notice that.
Pause.
Maybe
I'm just imagining things, but I feel like I saw... Tell me in the comments, did you see this too, or am I like... Are we seeing the same thing? Shut up. So then we get back to Crowley and Aziraphale at Tadfield Manor. We see Aziraphale kind of... that he can sense love. I do find that very interesting. I've said this before. I don't think any other angel... feels love. That seems very clear. They don't seem to feel much of anything.
No.
But for some reason, he can feel that Adam really loves where he was born. He loves the town.
But again, we say that Aziraphale has been on Earth for so long.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with it. Why he eats,
probably,
why they drink.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do love that they're having that conversation because Crowley's like, what the fuck are you talking about? The love thing. And he's like, the opposite of when you say, I don't like this place, it feels spooky. And Crowley's like, I never say that. Big spooky fan, me. I'm like, same. I am also a big spooky fan. Yeah. I just think that's so funny. I love how he's like, I never say that. Nobody says that. We get to the scene. One of my, all of this scene is like my favorite scene. But I think in particular, I love the part where Crowley and Aziraphale get shot by the paintball guns because they're so dramatic about it. But I love the way, and every time it just makes me just absolutely out of my mind. I love the moment where they realize it's paint, and then Aziraphale's like so upset because he's had his coat for over 100 years and he's kept it so clean, and he's like, and Crowley's like, well, you can just, you know, miracle it away. He's like, but I would always know it's there. He's just got that little pouty face. And Crowley's like, all right, well, I can't resist that. And so he just blows it away.
The way he does it's just so, like...
Yeah, it's
so romantic.
Yes, it's very romantic.
How could something like that
cute.
Be so romantic?
Yeah, exactly.
That it fucking is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's very, very cute. It's very sweet. And you can see it in Aziraphale's face that he really appreciates it.
Oh my God.
And I think Neil has said that's one of the moments that was like, it's the happiest he's been in years.
Aww.
And so it's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, how can you watch that and deny that this is clearly a love story? Yeah. Like, it's such a husband thing to do. Like, oh, it's your favorite coat. Of course I'm going to fix it.
Yes.
It's cute. It's cute. I love it. I just, every time I see it, I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute.
Oh my God.
I think it's so funny that, like, Aziraphale miracling it away himself isn't good enough. But when Crowley does it, he's like, okay, nope, that's fine. Like, I don't care anymore. I just think that's so funny. Because he's like, I would always know it's there if I miracle it away. But if you do it, it magically goes away. It's just, I don't know, it's cute. It's cute. After season 2, seeing Crowley point the paintball gun at him. Because it's like, oh my God, you know, Aziraphale's probably having flashbacks to that scene. He's like, okay, let's not with this.
Yes.
So obviously Crowley turns the guns into real guns because he says that's what the people want. I love that when he does it, Aziraphale's like, what the hell did you just do?
Yeah.
I just think that's so funny that he just swears like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the first is it one of the first?
Well, I don't know if hell is that big of a swear, but I just think it's
not,
funny.
But I mean, for Aziraphale.
Yeah. I just think it's funny. He's like, what the hell did you just do? He's like, oh, I just made them real. And then, of course, Aziraphale gets upset. Crowley's like, well, it's not really real. Like, they're all having miraculous saves.
I was like, wait, why does it sound like gunfire?
Yeah.
Are people dying? Am I... Because, you know, they didn't make a big issue in that one scene when war was there. Like, you didn't see bloodshed.
Yeah, no.
You just heard the guns.
Yeah.
And see people dropping.
Yeah.
But, so I was like... Are they doing that again?
Yeah. Well, they're very much making it, like, more dramatic because he turned the paintball bullets into real bullets. And I love that when they're looking through the manor, Crowley's just kicking in doors. I'm like, you know, he's living his, like, action hero fantasy in this moment. And that's why he's doing that. Well, yeah, no. I just think it's so funny. And he's like, wonder where the nuns went. I can't with you. And then, of course, like I said, you know, he's elated when Crowley says they're having miraculous escapes. They're not really, you know, dying. Nobody's dying. And then we get the other scene in this episode, which is by far and away my favorite one. So I cannot stop thinking about it. And it's the scene where Aziraphale says, you know, you really are a nice person. And Crowley, in arguably the most logical, you know, reaction to such a thing, grabs him by the collar and slams him up against the wall. And it's like, girl. And they're like nose to nose, so close. Like, it's just, I'm obsessed with that. And he goes off on about how he's not nice because he's a demon.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get Sister Mary saying one of my favorite lines, which is, sorry to break up an intimate moment. I don't know what it is about that actress that she has to do that with those two. I love it.
I know!
Because she comes back as Nina in season 2. Because it kind of just adds to this idea that everyone else can see what they are, but they clearly
I think
can't.
because they continuously say that same
Flirt.
line.
Yeah.
They're like, But my next favorite one is when the swap comes.
Oh, yeah. What I was saying is in that scene, because they're like, you know, a minute away from like making out in that scene, and then Mary interrupts them. So Crowley freezes time, so Mary will kind of just be frozen. And then, of course, we see that Aziraphale kind of adjusts his jacket because he's like, excuse me, you just fixed this and now you're going to crumple it. And then, of course, they're talking. I love the sarcasm of Crowley in that scene where he's like, oh, yeah, we're just going to ask her questions. We're looking for the missing Antichrist. I wonder if you can help us with our inquiries. So dramatic about everything. It's so funny. And they're like right next to each other. I don't know. It's just little things like that that I really enjoy. Yeah. Mary explains what happened to the manor and how she kind of took it over when everything burned down.
Yeah. So when because wasn't she the first one that, remember how before he killed all the nuns.
He only killed one. Pastor only killed one.
Oh, okay.
Technically. He did burn it down, but only one died.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's funny is I did have in my notes that when they walk out, it is the SWAT team. So that must be what it says on there. So I guess they do have it there too. Okay. I didn't know. I do love that Crowley is offended about being called a cult by, not Crowley, god damn it. Aziraphale is offended by Crowley calling him a cult. He's like, I'm not a cult. I'm ethereal. I just think that's so funny. And of course they drive away from the manor. I love the line that most books on witchcraft will tell you that witches do their magic naked because most books on witchcraft are written by men. That line from God is so fucking funny to me. One of my other favorite lines from this scene is when Anathema gets hit by the Bentley and Aziraphale's like, you hit someone. And Crowley's like, no, I didn't. Someone hit me. It's so silly.
And it's so
funny. Yeah, it is. It's so funny. Yeah. And then, of course, I love that they get out of the car. Aziraphale mends her broken arm. She's like very confused by how he turned on the light and all of that stuff. So it's just little things like that.
Yeah. And then he tries to fix her bike and he fixes it too well.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I didn't have spokes, right?
Gears,
or gears.
Gears, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's so funny. And I love like just the sarcasm that originally when Aziraphale's like, where can we take you? And Crowley's like, no, we're not taking her in this car. And then when he finally agrees, he just gives Aziraphale this face like, it's just, again.
And then he has a bike rack. It's just
that
funny.
Aziraphale adds, and he has it in his own tartan, which I think is everything. But it's just, it's again, it points to the
all of that with the tartan.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It points to the domesticness of the two of them. It points to just the cute, like they have that bicker relationship of people who have been married for 300 years is basically what it is. Yeah. I do love Crowley's line where when Anathema first says like, my bike didn't have all of this, where Crowley's like, oh Lord, heal this bike. It's so fucking funny to me. It's so funny and extra and over the top.
So extra.
They drop Anathema off at the cottage. She drops the book. They take off. Crowley is saying, get in, Angel, when he tells him to get back in the car, I think is really funny and cute.
Yeah.
I
just love how he always says, Angel.
Yeah. I do love that too. So, of course, we see Aziraphale and Crowley talking about the Antichrist. They're in a cafe. They're eating cake. Well, more Aziraphale's eating cake. I think in the book it's angel food cake. That's what he tends to eat the most, which I think is funny. So then, of course, we see that Aziraphale finds the book when they drive back to the bookshop. And then he's very, very excited about it. And he kind of acts very, like, squirrely, one might say. And he kind of runs back into the bookshop and acts like, oh, everything's fine. And he says tickety-boo for the first time, which I think is so funny. He kind of just leaves Crowley there, and Crowley's like, oh, well, like, that was a thing.
And then, like, days pass as he's going through it.
Well, I think that's more... Is that in the third episode? Or is that in this? Yeah, it must be. Because I was saying we learn about Aziraphale's other books of prophecy.
Yeah, because remember how he talks about it?
Yeah.
He was adding it to his collection.
Yeah. And I said... because we do see him go through the different prophecies in the Agnes Nutter book. And I think it was funny because in the book, they say he's reading so long that he gets a layer of dust on him, which I think would be funny to see in the show.
Oh my God, wouldn't it?
But I'm sure there's a reason they didn't do that. Kind of the end of the episode is Aziraphale realizing who Adam is by kind of guessing the phone number along with the prophecy, and then kind of going through the Bible and then calling the number. I think that whole thing is really funny, and ending the scene with him saying, sorry, right number, is just so funny. And of course we'll see that again.
Right number.
Yeah, and just hangs up, and then we'll see that again in the third episode, but we'll get to that next week.
That was so crazy how that happened.
Yeah. I liked how they did it. It was, like I said, I think I said in the book review, it was kind of more boring in the book. I think the way they did it in the show was more interesting. I liked how they did it in the show. So that was, this was not as long of an episode as the first one. Yeah. It wasn't, I should say, it wasn't as jam-packed. Yeah. But it was an interesting episode. It's not my favorite. There are a few scenes, obviously, that I love. Yeah. I love everything with the manner. I love kind of that whole dynamic, but in general, like, it's not my favorite episode. Not every episode can be your favorite. Yeah. And of course, you know, when we do our ranking, we're going to get into all of that and the reasons why, you know, we
like
don't
something over another.
Exactly. Overall, I think this was a lot of fun. I liked this episode. I liked a lot of the scenes in this episode.
Same.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to comment down below, like this video, and of course subscribe to this channel. You can also become a member of this channel. Very, very exciting new thing that I have that I can do. We do 2 tiers right now. There is the ineffable tier, which I think is like $1.99, and then there's the Our Side tier, which is about $6.99. You get early access in the ineffable tier. You also get special super chats and all of that, and then like in the Our Side tier, you get to suggest ideas and you get a little bit more, and that's all on youtube.com, so you can see that there. You can also follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/NarcissDeville, and that's my members only behind the scenes channel. I'm trying to do more behind the scenes content, more kind of long form stuff there. And until next time, stay devilish and see you next Tuesday, but also Thursday.